Hello, my name is Veronica and welcome to the Learning Lab episode number 108, the Martha Stewart Punch All Over the Page Punch. Do you absolutely love this look? But unfortunately, you have this punch? Well, if you join me in the lab today, I'm going to show you what I believe is a surefire, easy way to get the repeated pattern look using a punch that does not have the repeat pattern on it. Come on into the lab and let's get started. So I definitely love this look, but I wanted to also achieve that using this punch. When I originally got these, I got it because I thought, oh, I'll just punch 1, 2, 3 here or there. Random kind of helter-skelter thing. But then when Martha Stewart's design team came out with these with a repeat pattern that made it a lot easier to get that, I wanted that look. So I thought of ways that I could achieve it. And I put on my thinking cap, and sure enough, I was able to come up with something that would simulate a repeat pattern and allow me to get this look. So initially when I did this, I did it using some white cardstock. I just punched the pattern out and tried to line it up and taped it down with some packing tape. But then I thought about, there's got to be some material that's going to make that a lot easier for me to achieve. There is, and it happens to be the cling vinyl that you can purchase from Cricut that you would use with your Cricut machine. So I went in and got some black. You can get the brown, the white, yellow, whatever color strikes your fancy. And so I used that to create my own repeat pattern. Love it. So what I did was I lined it up on my paper. I punched out several of those, and then I just started to cut them and put them into place on my design. So the final one that needs to be put into place is this one, and I need to fix it to go on the corner edge. Okay, so here I'm putting this black just underneath the white piece. I'm putting that underneath the white piece because I don't want to see any of my black, and that's going to ensure that it's in place. And so before I press all of that down, I am going to go back and make sure that it is being pressed down into the right place. Because when I line it up to cut, I'm really only going to be looking at the tip. But, you know, I'm here. I want to make sure it's right. So here is my completed snowflake punch all over the page pattern. Now, one thing I would advise you doing is a final pattern check. Once you feel like you've gotten it where you want it to be, just take one of yours that is punched out. And this one is orientation specific. And now on this one, I'm doing my last check. I can see there's some black on here and some black over here in this corner. I just need to make a slight adjustment to them. Okay, that one's taken care of. That's the line. I can no longer see the black, but over here on the last one I did, I can. But I'm going to need to turn this or else my big old hand's going to be in the way. Again, I've got everything in place and aligned. I can see the black there. So let's peel this one up. Got that one lined up. And let's pull you in here, buddy. And that's got it where I want it. Now, there it is, all lined up. Your very own pattern for your punch all over the page punches using your Cricut vinyl, your punch, and a template. Where's that Staples button? Because let me tell you, it doesn't get any easier than this. But just to show you that this does indeed work, I'd like to punch some snowflakes out of this piece of card, and this one is 5.5 by 5.5. Now, when I am punching, I do tend to like to have my corner always in the same place. And for me, because I'm right-handed, I always put that little square piece on the left-hand side. So every time I go down, I know exactly where I'm going, and that's to the left. Ooh. So to get started for lining this up, When you look at this, you'll notice that there are little marks on here. And these are the guides that are going to help you for lining up your paper. This is designed to go straight to the edge of your paper. If you want a slight border, then you're going to have to compensate for that. But if you put it down here, and I can see right there, there are two lines to help me line up the edge of my paper. If I want to go over a little further and not be just right there, I can come in a bit and line it up next to the line where I abutted this piece. Then I can go across the top and determine how far up I want it as far as spacing. So I can come all the way over and all the way up to start my punch in that spot. The trick to this is that you must hold it in place. So now that I have everything aligned and this is back in place, I do find that in order to get a pretty decent punch, I do need to stand up. And there's my first one, which is great. So how does this work? I take this, slide it over, line it up with my next one. So for my lining up, I'm going to cover the black and make sure that I don't see any before replacing my punch and punching it again. And once I remove that, you can see where they are beautifully in line. Now, one thing I will say to you is to make sure that you're on some kind of a mat when you're punching these, just in case the blades that are in here go down into your table. There's quite a bit of depth or height on there, however you want to look at it. You don't want to ruin your furniture. So I'm going to keep continuing my pattern. Now, just prior to starting this, I was listening to WHUR radio, which is Howard University radio here in the DC metro area, and I was listening to Jackie Gales Webb, and she had just finished playing Tremaine Hawkins' I Never Lost My Praise, and that's about as much as I can say on that before breaking down into tears. But she was saying through everything she's suffered, everything she's lost, everything that has happened to her, she never lost a praise. So if you need uplifting with some good gospel music, you can find WHUR on the radio. Just click the listen live button and you can tune in every Sunday to hear some great inspiration, and also to hear a sermon. This morning it was Dr. Freddie Haynes Jr. And usually the shows are pre-recorded and they will play them back generally the Sunday following service at the chapel if you're unable to get there. And sometimes they'll also play some popular sermons from the past. I'm just about finished here, and as you can see, I'm still continuing to use the black to keep this lined up so that I can finish punching this out. Let me clear this out of the way, bring in some pretty paper, and show you how wonderful it turned out. I do realize this paper is probably just a tad bit busy, but I love it. Look at that. And regardless of what you put behind it, you are just going to get something stunning. Isn't that just exquisite? Oh my goodness, really pretty. This is a Snowflake paper, and it's also one that I got from Hurricane Holly. I'm not sure if we were doing a Christmas exchange in our group or she was just doing an RAK for me, but it's a die cuts with a view pack, and it's the 'Tis the Season, and the papers are just magnificent. And you're going to see some of these show up in another episode of using Martha Stewart punches. I mean, I feel like I'm ready to have another punch party again. And of course, all of you are invited. But this is a glorious, glorious stack of paper, and my fingers are just itching to dive into it and get going. So I'm sure you're saying now, okay, you've shown it to me, you've shown me how it works, now show me how to do it. Glad to help you out on that. The way I run my Learning Lab shorts is that I will do a video like this where I share with you exactly how to go through it step by step. Then on a subsequent short, I will just bring in, let's say, another punch and show you how to achieve the same effect using that particular punch. So this is now just saying if you happen to have this particular punch, then you can just check out that lab and I'll show you how I set those up to accomplish the same thing, either using different punch in this case, or a different material, or showing you another twist on a technique using it. Thank you for joining me in the lab today. Please remember to check out my blog at inkollusions.blogspot.com. Until then.